He is here to be admonished. He is Joe. Hi, Bob.
Good to be on with Stoney. Oh, and Jansen. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now,
good to be on.
Now, Wojo, a little birdie told.
Why am I admonished?
Because you declared the third preseason game of the Detroit Pistons as a big game.
Oh, that's just reflex, Tony. I just hit a button. It's just one of them.
Can't help yourself.
Also, Troy Weaver revenge.
Oh, I did say that, too, about Oklahoma City?
Yeah.
I have so many boxes of old bits, I'd never know what I've pulled out. By the way, you mentioned Angela Lansbury, right? She died yesterday.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody noticed this, nor do they care, but it was creepy. You know how me and the angel of the big house, Angelique, go back and forth on Twitter and call each other old?
Yeah.
And she called me like Peter Falk, Columbo.
Uh-huh.
So, of course, I immediately went and got a gift or whatever it is of Angela Lansbury and called her old in that way. I posted it. Immediately people responded, "You monster, show some respect." She had died like 15 minutes early. I had no idea. They thought I was mocking Angelique, calling her a dead lady when I really didn't know. So if I subtweet or quote tweet any of you guys, be careful. Be safe.
Yeah, by the way, I asked Angelique if she missed not being with you in Bloomington because you were in East Lansing on Saturday. And she said, no, it was so wonderful without you.
It's quiet.
Well, you know what? I didn't miss it either. Thank you very much.
So how was Spartan Stadium?
Coke.
How was Spartan Stadium?
It was about what we expected it to be. Yeah, it was lots of Buckeyes in the stands, and that game was pretty much exactly as I thought. And they're just mildly more competitive than last year's Michigan State-Ohio State game, but not really, not by much. And I really don't know what to pick through, what's left to pick through of that Michigan State team this season.
I mean, their whole look. Who knows what's going to happen? This week, homecoming. They're home underdog against a mediocre Wisconsin team. But who are they going to be favored to beat the rest of the way?
They do have Rutgers yet, don't they?
It's on the road, isn't it?
They do, yes.
Yeah, and I believe their Illinois game is on the road too.
Illinois is ranked.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think through names that you would think would be sucky teams, and they got Penn State, they got Michigan. Well, Michigan, of course.
Well, if they get Henderson back and maybe even some of the other guys, they will play them very hard. It will not be an easy game for Michigan. I'm not saying that.
Well, they will, but here's the thing. I don't think with Mel Tucker's crew right now, I don't think it's a question of effort. Now, maximum effort, no, you don't see that every Saturday. But they're just so disjointed. And, yes, they're missing some pieces. Peyton Thorne looks confused and lost. And I contend, and people might disagree, that this can be the product of reshuffling and restocking and portal pottying or transfer portaling a lot every off season, where you have every single game, communication issues, execution, communicate. Well, yeah, the communication issue in the secondary might be excuse me, what was your name again? Okay, you cover that guy. Because they really have churned it. I understand a lot of it was out of necessity, but if Kenneth Walker is the super, super, super upside, then stuff like this is the downside.
Well, let's stay in the college realm. Obviously, this weekend in the Big House, there's a matchup of top 10 teams. James Franklin brings his pom-poms and the Nittany Lions to town. Your thoughts on the matchup?
Well, first I'd like to get permission from the Godfather, Stoney. Can I say big game?
Yes.
Stoney?
Yes.
Jansen? Thank you. Okay, good. Big game! I know, what is Harbaugh? 4-3 against Penn State or something like that. So I know Penn State has played them tough at times. in Ann Arbor, I really think that makes a big difference. Penn State has a couple of really good young running backs, Sean Clifford in his 13th season. I think Penn State's defense is problematic. I think Michigan has definitely been holding back. And when we say holding back, Jansen, you played a little football. We don't mean like, oh, we're not touching any of these plays or any of these plays. I think they just haven't mixed it up much. And as on the broadcast with Gus Johnson and Joe Clack, they repeatedly noted how really not much motion. Guys on him pretty much very the same plays and somewhat predictable. I would assume Harbaugh and his gang, Sharon Moore and everybody else, took note of that, or maybe that was by design. But I expect to see a lot more of the quote-unquote weapons involved on offense, and I expect to see McCarthy run more. He's even said that. He's like, I'm starting to get comfortable, running more, and I think he will.
I think he will as well, but here's the other thing, too, about the offense is, why get away from what's working? We asked that question last year. They're running the ball, and Josh Gaddis at the time said, it's not our job to stop ourselves. Why would we do anything else as long as it's working? When forced to, and in a game like Penn State, I don't know that they'll be forced to, but they will be. They will have to be more creative in how they, as you mentioned it, pair some things together, how they set some things up and get to other plays. But they really have to this point, and this is a knock 100% on their schedule. They haven't been forced to.
Right.
Okay, well, should they have been forced to at halftime, Indiana? Now, it turned out fine. And here's the other thing. When forced to, whenever that is, will they be prepared to? And I assume they will. I do. But, I mean, it was 10-10 at halftime, and they really did stick with what they were doing, obviously, and running the ball. I totally agree with you. I thought people overreacted last year, like, oh, Cade McNamara can't throw because, well, no, they were mauling teams with the run. And maybe they can keep doing that. Maybe they can maul Penn State with the run. But in my mind, the major switch or slight adjustment is the run will include more and more of J.J. McCarthy running the RPO. And it almost looks like he's been told, like, on the RPO, but hand it off. Like because there were a few against Indiana where if he took the ball and went around end, he would have run for 95 yards or whatever.
Absolutely. Look, I like vanilla, but I need some hot fudge with it a lot. Okay, so I'm like.
Last year it was the steak analogy, and this year it's the
it's
Sunday analogy.
It's the Sunday, yeah. I don't need to see gadget.
You don't want the steak.
I don't need to see double reverses and all that stuff. But especially when they get in the red zone, they got to be a little more creative to get guys more wide open.
Woj, what's your choice of analogy? We've already used steak and sizzle, and now we've used vanilla and hot fudge. Is there an analogy that you like to go with?
Well, I'm getting a little bit sick of the Cal salad at times, I think.
That's the next show.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Stoney just came up with a new nickname for himself. Stoney is now Hot Fudge.
No, you got to say it right. Hot Fudge.
Yeah.
I hope on my anniversary my wife wants some hot fudge tonight.
Or some whipped cream.
I don't even know where that analogy is going.
All right. Well, Joe, I'm trying to avoid the Lions. I'm trying to avoid the Lions till the end. But you did write a column today about the Pistons and the Wings, and while we know what's going on with the Tigers and the Lions, there is hope for the Pistons and the Red Wings, and I agree with you, we should not be expecting any playoff appearances by either team, should we?
No, I don't think so. But my God, can we expect progress every time? Oh, for sure, the Tigers this year. Look at what they did and who they had, and the Lions for sure. And the Lions season isn't over. I think there's legitimately progress coming and needed and demanded of the Wings and Pistons. And I base the difference on, I think the Wings and Pistons' young talent is legitimate. I mean, fully legitimate. Like high picks and have shown themselves so far. Tigers have one, Riley Green, and everybody else is injured. And the Lions have a couple, but not, dynamic, legitimate stars. So that's a difference for me why I don't think the Pistons and Wings are going to take a nosedive like the Tigers and because remember, we've debated in the past which team is further along in the rebuild. And it really was a legitimate debate. It was hard to figure out. It's not so hard to figure out now, and I base this on Yzerman and Troy Weaver, who have proven themselves to be sharp talent acquirers. We'll see how the new coach, Mr. Lalonde, works out, but I expect not dramatic, but definitely steady progress from both.
So you think Cade Cunningham's going to pull out of his 3-game slump?
Yeah. Oh, I heard I did hear Stoney earlier really fretting about that.
I did not really fret.
You did.
I did not really fret. Don't embellish. I just mentioned it.
Boy, Cade's looked bad.
I know.
No, I said I hope it doesn't carry
Stoney
over.
Went bonkers about
no,
it.
I did not go bonkers.
He said Monday morning if he doesn't play good Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
Monday morning, Killian Hayes in the starting lineup.
Well, he also did say Killian.
No, I did not.
You said Killian's been playing good.
I said Killian's been playing good, which is great having him coming off the bench.
Why are you so defensive?
Because I only get defensive when I get accused of things I didn't say.
Is Penn State a night game this week?
No, it should be, though.
No. But his September Heisman is showing up well, though.
Because May's outs look much better at night than they do during the day.
They do. Thank you.
But
Penn State has done that white out during the day as well. That's what it was. I think last year was supposed to be the stripe out.
Yeah.
Or is that like they did at
What were you saying, Woj?
When are they going to have the blackout, where you just drink? No, Stoney, that's your punishment for paying too much attention to exhibition games. I'm sorry, but it is.
Okay. I wasn't really paying too much. I just mentioned his stats, that's all.
Me and John would have no idea until you mentioned it.
Well, that's okay. I mean,
because they don't matter.
Not at all.
Stoney, just be you. Hot. Fun.
Outstanding.
Hey, Woj, real quick. We had Dan Campbell.
Bud.
We had Dan Campbell on yesterday, and he continued to defend the 4th and 9 at the other 32. Even when I said, "Then why is this kicker even on the team?" Well, what do you make of this stuff?
You know what? I debated this the other day with all the gambles, the 4th down on. It's like, how many of those would Campbell not have done if they had a kicker, like a legit? Like I think at least 33% of the 4th downs would not have been run as they kicked or something else, right? Or whatever. Now, that's kind of on Brad Holmes that they're still auditioning kickers.
Yeah, and the worst and one of the worst decisions he made, he elected to kick a field goal.
Right. You know what? It's almost like he has a trauma from that, and I'm never doing that again. You see how wide that one was, and you hope not. You hope he's not like reacting to decisions that went poorly before. I actually have liked the majority of his 4th down calls to go for it in those situations, but there's a few that were, of course, awful.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right.
I mean, awful.
Woj. Thank you.
Fudge.
Thanks for joining Hot Fudge and Jansen with Heather in the morning.